Outside the Box Reviews. Wanna play?
Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the Mezco Stylized vinyl figure of Chucky from, well, I would say the Child's Play franchise, but this is definitely his Bride of Chucky look. And I was kind of surprised to see this thing hit shelves. I saw it, I think, about a year ago with Comic-Con reveals, and I just never really saw it hitting the light of day. I kind of didn't know when Mezco would ever put this thing out. It seemed fairly different than other things they've done in the past, but when I finally saw it sitting on my shelves at Toys R Us, I knew that I had to pick them up, because there's really aren't all that many Child's Play figures you can get your hands on these days, and while I've been watching some of the older NECA and McFarlane figures pretty closely online, it's hard to get those for a decent price. So, how's the Mezco one rank up compared to those? Well, let's take a closer look. Chucky comes with one accessory, and that is his knife. It's pretty simple, very simple handle here, just plain black and a silver blade. Nothing crazy, but it works. The blade will fit in his hand either facing upwards or in a downward position, so he can go and sneak up and stab somebody with it over the head, but a very simple little accessory. I already mentioned this is a stylized version of the character. He has a very, very large head and a much more proportionate body. Ironically now, this means that both Child's Play figures I own are super stylized, but the detail on it, I think if you actually had it in proportion, would make a decent looking Chucky figure. The face just looks great. The paint on it's very clean, which I was surprised about, and there's a lot of detail to it. There's the plain flesh tone, but there's also some darkness going on around his eyes, some deeper reds in the cheeks and under his eyes, but just black kind of up in the corners here. A very deep sunken in look on his one eye there where it's all cracked apart, all the little staples and stitches going through his head, the very, very bright metallic silver showing up in the gaps of his flesh. Just a very impressive paint job, and that's not something I normally think of with Mezco, but I'm actually really impressed with it. You can see the hair here has very different layers to it, some darker oranges and almost browns in there, and then some very lighter pieces, staples holding these little pieces of hair on. Very, very messy hair back here. I'm really surprised. It's kind of weird because I do think of Mezco existing more in that cartoony line, and I guess with Chucky it almost just kind of works. Come down, he has kind of an elongated neck because he does have such a big head. Got his collar down there, he has overalls. This is one area I'm less happy with because it has a very high sheen to it. It almost looks like they applied these pictures on as decals. It actually almost feels sticky, which is kind of weird, but there's definitely a very high gloss to it, and no matter where you turn it, it's picking up some of the light on him. He's got his Good Guys logo across, got more rips and cuts in it. Some very nice detail there. His big red buttons, all the little tools and everything all over his overalls. The multicolored cuffs are on the bottom of his pants. Got a shirt underneath. You can see more rips and tears on the sleeve here. Very dirty. Turn around, more of that same detail going on back here. The shoes are great. They used to be white, but now they're all brown and dirty. And if we turn them over, we even have the Good Guy logo and little tools picture on the bottom, which is very iconic from the first film. His hands are pretty simple. He's got his pinky kind of sticking out on this one. And this hand doesn't hold the knife, so you really can't do anything with it. But this hand will. It's got the scar on the back as well. For articulation, it's pretty simple. He has a ball joint at the head, so you can turn his head a lot of different ways. Ball joints at the shoulders, so you can move a little bit forward and back, in and out. Nothing's fantastic, but it works. No elbow joint or anything. He does have a wrist swivel on both sides, and then nothing throughout the body, but he does have a swivel at the foot. This is one of those figures, and it's not the first one I've seen, and I do have many of them in my collection, where it's cool. I like it. And I'll say right now, I'm gonna recommend it, but it makes me wish for something a little more. Looking at this figure, the sculpt is so solid on it, the paint is very clean and fairly well done, specifically on the face, but the body, it's decent as well. I really wish they would have done this figure back in their Cinema of Fear style. I wish you'd be like a 3 or 4 inch tall action figure that you could put alongside your Freddys and Jasons and have that. Even if you don't give him the elbow articulation, if it's just as articulated as this figure is, the only accessory is the one he comes with, but just make him proportional and not stylized and crazy, it would have been so cool. But for what this is, judging it on its own merits, yeah, I really like it. It's a very cool looking display piece, and if you're a Chucky fan, it's a great thing to have. And as much as I could wish it to be other things, what it is just fine. The only other recommendation I'll make with these figures is the simple fact that if you're going to get one, go to a store and buy it. Because I've never ever bought anything Child's Play related without getting a very long, entertaining story out of the cashier. And this was no exception. Got a whole big story about how terrified some family member, kid or something was of Chucky. And it all just kind of makes me laugh to hear those random things. Because out of all the serial killers, all the horror figures that I buy and all that stuff, Chucky's the one that seems to freak people out more than anything else. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews.
I'm your reviewer to the end. Heidi ho!